All right. Okay, so we've got some poetry here tonight on the Cultured Bumpkin. Appreciate you swinging by. We're just going to read some, start with a little Shakespeare, do a couple Shakespeare monologues. Nothing crazy. We're not going to perform them at a loud level. But, here's one called The Lunatic, the Lover, and the Poet. The lunatic, the lover, and the poet are of imagination all compact. One sees more devils than vast hell can hold, that is the madman. The lover, all is frantic, sees Helen's beauty in a brow of Egypt. The poet's eye, in a fine frenzy rolling, doth glance from heaven to earth, from earth to heaven, and as imagination bodies forth the forms of things unknown, the poet's pen turns them to shapes, and gives to airy nothing a local habitation and a name. The lunatic, the lover, and the poet. To be or not to be. It's from Hamlet. Everybody's heard this one. To be or not to be. That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them. To die, to sleep no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. To die, to sleep perchance to dream. Ay, there's the rub, for in that sleep of death what dreams may come, which, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. For who would bear the whips and scorns of time? The oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of despised love, the law's delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns that patient merit of the unworthy takes, when he himself might his quietus make with a bare bodkin. Who would fartles bear to grunt and sweat under a weary life? But that the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country, from whose bourne no traveller returns, puzzles the will and makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of. Thus conscience doth make cowards of us all, and thus the native hue of resolution is sicklied o'er with the pale cast of thought, and enterprises of great pitch and moment with this regard their currents turn awry and lose the name of action. Hope you're having a good evening tonight. Got my book of poetry, $3. No, actually, this one was $1. Here is The Darkling Thrush by Thomas Hardy. I leant upon a coppice gate when frost was spectre gray, and winter's dregs made desolate the weakening eye of day. The tangled bind stems scored the sky like strings of broken lyres, and all mankind that haunted nigh had sought their household fires. The land's sharp features seemed to be the century corpse unlinked, his crypt the cloudy canopy, the wind his death lament. The ancient pulse of germ and birth was shrunken hard and dry, and every spirit upon earth seemed fervorless as I. At once a voice rose among the bleak twigs overhead in a full-hearted even song of joy illimited. An aged thrush, frail, gaunt, and small, in blast beruffled plume, had chosen thus to fling his soul upon the growing gloom. So little cause for carolings of such ecstatic sound was written on terrestrial things, afar or nigh around, that I could think there trembled through his happy good night air some blessed hope whereof he knew, and I was unaware. Thomas Hardy, The Darkling Thrush. You know, most people don't like poetry. Most people are either too busy, um, dull-witted. I'm just kidding. Well, some might be, but most people are too. Their day is too full. They're scrolling. Oh, look, a poem. They're scroll throughout the day. They're listening to the radio, or they're scrolling TikTok, or they're talking to somebody, and they never spend any time for themselves. They never take any time to sort of listen to a thought meander its way through you know um, its little poetic beginnings and endings. And I think it's good for you. I think it's good for your mind, especially um, in our sort of social media age, to take a second and listen to poetry, read poetry on your own, maybe even write poetry. You don't have to show it to anybody, but that's a very good exercise. Is like writing poetry, and yeah, these things good for your little brain. All right, what else are we going to read? Here is Robert Frost. Neither out far nor in deep. The people along the sand all turn and look one way. They turn their back on the land. They look at the sea all day. As long it takes to pass, a ship keeps raising its hull. The wetter ground, like glass, reflects a standing gull. The land may vary more, but wherever the truth may be, the water comes ashore and the people look at the sea. They cannot look out far, they cannot look in deep, but when was that ever a bar to any watch they keep? Neither out far nor in deep, by Robert Frost. Strawberry butthole. Well, I am sure you do a lot of things that others would find a bit off-putting with a name like Strawberry Butthole. Seriously. Let's see. Here's Emily Dickinson. Emily Dickinson. It makes no difference abroad. The seasons fit the same. The mornings blossom into noons and split their pods of flame. Wild flowers kindle in the woods. The brooks slam all the day. No blackbird baits his banjo for passing Calvary. Auto de fe and judgment are nothing to the bee. His separation from his rose to him sums misery. That is Emily Dickinson. Janet, very good to have you. Very good to have you. Let's see, what else have we got by old Emily? I started early, took my dog, and visited the sea. The mermaids in the basement came out to look at me, and frigates in the upper floor extended hempen hands, presuming me to be a mouse aground upon the sands. But no man moved me till the tide went past my simple shoe, and past my apron, and my belt, and past my bodice too, and made as he would eat me up as wholly as a dew upon a dandelion sleeve. And then I started to. Uh, okay, and then I started to, and he followed close behind. I felt a silver heel upon my ankle. Then my shoes would overflow with pearl until we met the solid town. No one he seemed to know, and bowing with a mighty look at me, the sea withdrew. Emily Dickinson. All right. All right. What else? What else? Mm, Here is T.S. Eliot, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky like a patient etherized upon a table. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells. Streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask, what is it? Let us go and make our visit. In the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. The yellow fog that rubs its back upon the window panes, the yellow smoke that rubs its muzzle on the window panes, licked its tongue into the corners of the evening, lingered upon the pools that stand in drains, let fall upon its back the soot that falls from chimneys, slipped by the terrace, made a sudden leap, and seeing that it was a soft October night, curled once about the house and fell asleep. And indeed there will be time for the yellow smoke that slides along the street, rubbing its back upon the window panes. There will be time. There will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet. There will be time to murder and create, and time for all the work and days of hands that lift and drop a question on your plate. Time for you and time for me, and time yet for 100 indecisions and for 100 visions and revisions before the taking of a toast and tea. In the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. And indeed, there will be time to wonder, do I dare? And do I dare? Time to turn back and descend the stair with a bald spot in the middle of my hair. They will say how his hair is growing thin. My morning coat, my collar mounting firmly to the chin, my necktie rich and modest, but asserted by a simple pin. They will say, but how his arms and legs are thin. Do I dare disturb the universe In a minute there is time for decisions and revisions, which a minute will reverse. Mark, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Yeah, T.S. Eliot, he really is. Not your average Jay. We might could get to that one. Yeah. And I have known the eyes already, known them all, the eyes that fix you in a formulated phrase. And when I am formulated, sprawling on a pin, when I am pinned and wriggling on the wall, then how should I begin to spit out all the butt ends of my days and ways? And how should I presume? And I have known the arms already, known them all, arms that are braceleted and white and bare, but in the lamplight downed with light brown hair. It is perfumed from a dress. Is it perfume from a dress that makes me so digress? Arms that lie along a table or wrap about a shawl. And should I then presume? And how should I begin? Shall I say, I have gone at dusk through narrow streets and watched the smoke that rises from the pipes of lonely men in shirt sleeves, leaning out of windows? I should have been a pair of ragged claws scuttling across the floors of silent seas. And the afternoons, the evening sleeps so peacefully, smoothed by long fingers, asleep, tired where it malingers, stretched on the floor, here beside you and me. Should I, after tea, cakes, and ices, have the strength to force the moment to its crisis? But though I have wept and fasted, wept and prayed, though I have seen my head, grown slightly bald, brought in upon a platter, I am no prophet, and here's no great matter. I have seen the moment of my greatness flicker, and I have seen the eternal footman hold my coat and snicker, and in short, I was afraid. And it would have been worth it after all, after the cups, the marmalade, the tea, among the porcelain, among some talk of you and me. Would it have been worthwhile to have bitten off the matter with a smile, to have squeezed the universe into a ball, to roll it towards some overwhelming question, to say, I am Lazarus, come from the dead, come back to tell you all, I shall tell you all. If one settling a pillow by her head should say, this is not what I meant at all, that is not it at all. Take a super quick break. Pick right back up in just a second. This is the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. Let's do something real quick. Look at this. Look at that. Thanks, Tom. Mark Thomas. I almost called you Thompson. Thanks, Mark. Okay, here we go. Picking back up. We got a little coming into the home stretch. Few more stanzas. No, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. Am an attendant lord, one that will do to swell a progress, start a scene or two, advise the prince, no doubt an easy tool, deferential, glad to be of use, politic, cautious and meticulous, full of high sentence, but a bit obtuse. At times, indeed, almost ridiculous, almost at times the fool. I grow old, I grow old. I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. Shall I put my hair behind? Do I dare to eat a peach? I shall wear white flannel trousers and walk upon the beach. I have heard the mermaids singing, each to each. I do not think that they will sing to me. I have seen them riding seaward on the waves, combing the white hair of the waves blown back, when the wind blows the water white and black. We have lingered in the chambers of the sea, by sea girls wreathed with seaweed red and brown, till human voices wake us and we drown. T.S. Eliot, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Yeah, yeah. What a way to end it, right? Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. He's if you like um T.S. Eliot, one person, well, one, you should check out my YouTube. I've done some of his work, and I'm growing in my appreciation of him, and I've been doing more and more, certainly on lives, but also on um, what do you call it? Like, their own recordings or whatever. And then check out Jeremy Irons. He has a whole lecture where he talks about T.S. Eliot and how to read him, approach him, that kind of thing. Excuse me, Logan. What's going on? The excuse me. Oh, and I just did the Hollow Men the other day as well. And Lee, what's going on? Good to see you on here. But yeah, listen to Jeremy Irons read the four or the quartets or whatever, and then he also has some, kind of a lecture of poetry in general, but also T.S. Eliot in particular, and how to approach him and read him and stuff. It's really good. But yeah, Jeremy Irons does, just quick YouTube. You can find Jeremy Irons reading it. Amazing. Ralph Fiennes reads, I think, the quartets. And then Alec Guinness is another one. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff. And then when I'm done with the quartets, because I haven't done all of it, I'll post that as well on my YouTube. And I shall join Jeremy Irons. Anywho, so let's see. Maybe let's see if he's got any more that aren't terribly super long. Maybe we'll do another one. Here's a pretty short one called Journey of the Magi by T.S. Eliot. A cold coming we had of it, just the worst time of the year for a journey, and such a long journey. The ways deep and the weather sharp, the very dead of winter, and the camels galled, sore-footed, refractory, lying down in the melting snow. There were times we regretted the summer palaces on slopes, the terraces, and the silken girls bringing sherbet. Then the camel men cursing and grumbling and running away and wanting their liquor and women, and the night fires going out, and the lack of shelters, and the cities hostile, and the towns unfriendly, and the villages dirty and charging high prices. A hard time we had of it. At the end, we preferred to travel all night, sleeping in watches, in snatches, with the voices singing in our ears, saying that this was all folly. Then at dawn we came down to a temperate valley, wet below the snow line, smelling of vegetation, with a running stream and a water mill beating the darkness, and three trees on the lone sky. And an old white horse galloped away in the meadow. Then we came to a tavern with vine leaves over the lintel, 6 hands at an open door dicing for pieces of silver, and feet kicking the empty wineskins. And there was no information, and so we continued and arrived at evening not a moment too soon, finding the place it was, you may say, satisfactory. All this was a long time ago, I remember, and I would do it again, but set down, this, were we led all that way for birth or death? There was a birth, certainly. We had evidence and no doubt. I had seen birth and death, but had thought they were different. This birth was hard and bitter agony for us, like death, our death. We returned to our places, these kingdoms, but no longer at ease here, in the old dispensation, with an alien people clutching their gods. I should be glad of another death. Journey of the Magi by T.S. Eliot. All right, somebody asked for daffodils, I think. We could do that one. William Wordsworth. All right, so William Wordsworth, I wandered lonely as a cloud. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze, continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. They stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft when on my couch I lie in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils. Good one, good one. Got time for another one. Here is Robert Frost, Acquainted with the Night. I have been one acquainted with the night. I have walked out in rain and back in rain. I have outwalked the furthest city light. I have looked down the saddest city lane. I have passed by the watchman on his beat and dropped my eyes, unwilling to explain. I have stood still and stopped the sound of feet when far away an interrupted cry came over houses from another street, but not to call me back or say goodbye. And further still, at an unearthly height, one luminary clock against the sky proclaimed the time was neither wrong nor right. I have been one acquainted with the night. So on that wonderful note of Robert Frost, I am about to I'm about to head off for the evening. Iona, hello. Good to see you. So, yeah, if you're watching on live or catching the replay on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. And then, yeah, same on TikTok. If you are watching this and you haven't subscribed to my YouTube, you ought to, because all of these make great little sleep podcasts. When you're trying to go to sleep, you can turn it on and read or listen to poetry. So, anywho, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great night.